John Lusk here of Lusk Archery Adventures. Series testing, successful hunting. I've got another classic mechanical broadhead to test here today. I've gotten a lot of requests to test this over the years, and I actually did do it, just a little bit of a test of it many years ago, one of my first videos where I tested about 20 different mechanicals in one test. Thanks to a buddy of mine, Stan Seckman, who sent me a pack of these, thanks Stan, I'm able to put them to the test, and it's the Wasp Jar-Hammer 3-blade. Okay, been around for a long time, taken a lot of animals, but let's see how it holds up to my testing. So for these tests, I'm going to be using my protocol for 2023, and you can watch the video that I posted a little while ago that explains all the tests that I'm doing and why I'm doing them, as well as you can read about the tests and see the scores of how this had performed in each of the tests in the description right below this video. So for the test, I'm using my Bowtech CP28 set at 72 pounds, and I'm using Bishop FOC King arrows for most of the shooting, but the Bishop Fat Eliminators for the really hard impact stuff. So let's zoom on in here and go through some of the design features and specifications of this Jak-Hammer and then put it to the test. So here's the Jak-Hammer in the closed position, and as you can see, it's just a classic front deploying or over-the-top deploying broadhead. I've always liked the tips of the Wasps. I've used a number of them over the years. Super sharp and really stout chisel tips, hardened stainless steel. The blades are stainless steel as well, 0.036-inch thick blades, so relatively thick blades, especially for a mechanical. And then the ferrule here is an aluminum. Now they're held closed with this really stout O-ring, and the O-ring, you want to make sure it's pulled all the way up to the back edge of the blade. If you want to practice with them in the closed position, you'll take that O-ring off, and you can use like an unwaxed dental floss or a braided fishing line or something like that, a twisty or something, and wrap it around like 6 or 8 times, and then you have it stay closed on impact. But the way it works is it flies in the air in the closed position. The blades are kind of already angling backwards, and as they hit the hide, they're forced back a bit more, and that forces this O-ring to slide off, and then the blades can fully deploy. And in the fully deployed position, the cutting diameter is 1 3/4 inches, which is really significant given 3 blades. So the total cut of these Jak-Hammers is 2.625 inches. That's a really healthy cut. The negative is, in a front deploying broadhead, that entrance hole is going to be pretty small. The positive is, as it penetrates, it's going to open up pretty big. I like using front deploying broadheads like this for turkey because it's a lot easier to penetrate through a really tough wing butt or the tail quills in the closed position when it's pretty small, and then it opens up really big and does some really good damage on the turkey. The negative is on a big game animal that if you do not get a pass through, then that initial hole is going to be pretty small and you might not get a really good blood trail. That's the pro of using a rear deploying broadhead, is at least you're going to get one big hole. With a front deploying, you're going to get one small hole, and maybe if you get a pass through, you get a big hole. So there's trade-offs, there's pros and cons to each, but that's the basic design. Really nice looking broadhead. I'm eager to see how it performs in the tests. It took 200 grams of force to cut through the wire, which is 10 on a 10-point scale. It penetrated 7 inches. And here's the initial opening, which is just the head in the closed position. It took no additional force to cut through the wire, so that gets a 10 on a 10-point scale. It penetrated through 45 layers, and you can see that the blades got pretty bent back in the process. Here it is after the 3 shots through the MDF, and the ferrule got a little bit bent. One of the blades got pretty considerably bent, and all 3 of the blades got swept back quite a bit more than they were in the beginning. Here you can see the head after going through the MDF 3 times and then the steel plate 2 times. And as you can see, it lost 2 of the blades. They just sheared off there. And then this third one is just hanging on by a thread. It didn't break, but kind of like a lame wing there. And then the ferrule, that kind of longer aluminum ferrule, got a bit of a bend to it. But I am going to go ahead and shoot it into the concrete. That's one of the things I'm doing differently this year, is if the head is at all shootable, and since I'm outside, it's not quite as dangerous as it was in my basement in Iowa, I'm going to go ahead and shoot it into the concrete and see how it does. And here's the holes in the steel plate. You can see that it cut 3 holes, but they're not really the full length of the blades by any means. They're just kind of a fraction of the blades. They slapped against the steel, and then they retracted back quite a bit as they were forced through it. So here it is after going through the concrete, and as you can see, it didn't fare very well through the concrete. That aluminum ferrule just couldn't handle that impact, and it was already bent a bit from the steel plate anyway. So what'd you think of the Jak-Hammer? You know, I can see why a lot of people have liked this head over the years. And again, like I said in the beginning, I know it's taken quite a few animals over the years. If you're a loyal fan, I can understand why. At the same time, like a lot of the classic heads that I've tested, I think things have evolved a bit, okay, from when these first came out. And it certainly has its strengths. You know, it flew well and you know, has a really big cut. There's the blades were really sharp and held together well, kept their edge well. But the durability, the penetration was a bit wanting in those areas. So I could see this being a really good head for turkey because of the large size, and I prefer a front deploying mechanical for turkey so it doesn't have a problem penetrating through the wing bud or the tail quills or something like that, and then it opens up really big to catch those really small vitals. This would be a fantastic one for that. But probably won't make my quiver for much else. But you check out the score sheet and see how it performed in the areas that matter to you the most and see if it might be a good fit for you.